Hey everyone, it's TB Shores. I'm trying to get a dream up for Barb from 278 Pike LK. I'm just going to go ahead and just read the dream, and then we'll discuss what things mean at the end, okay? All right, it says that she saw what looked to be an exodus. And then she could tell they were riding on donkeys and horses. And they were bringing furniture with them. She noticed a nightstand, and it was empty. She opened the drawer and it was empty, and she could tell that it was of poor quality. It was cheaply made. And she remembered thinking that they were taking a risk putting all the horses together like they were, that if one got spooked, they would all go crazy. She recommended smaller groups of 2 or 3. And then the scene switches to a bedroom scene. Now, in the bedroom scene, there was a man that was sitting on the bed. Now, she said this man, his name was J.C., and actually he was Pastor J.C. from YouTube. But she said it wasn't like a situation where there was an attraction. It was just a feeling that it was somebody that was good, a good person. And then she noticed he had been eating yogurt because there were empty containers, and there were still some that hadn't been eaten that was sitting there. So she asked if she could put it away. Of course, he said yes. Let's see, I'm trying to think. And she remembered thinking that she finally was with someone who was going to be good to her, and she would be treated like a princess. And she was glad to serve him, because here she had cleaned up and trying to be helpful to him. And she remembered feeling glad to serve him. But then she got to feeling tired and asked if she could lay down. And the thing to remember about JC is that his channel name is Time of Refreshing. It's very important when we go to explain this. And next, she started trying to explain to him, oh yes, that she would be treated like a princess. We'll get back to that. She was trying to explain to him a dream she had had, and a dream within a dream. And it was all about salt shaker. And she was emptying rice out of the salt shaker. Let me look at this again. Where she took all the rice out of salt shakers. She'd been working in a restaurant, evidently, and she took all the rice out of salt shakers and put it in a bowl and covered the rice with fine flour and stirred it in. Then all the rice flowed, because the rice was clumping, okay? But after she stirred the flour in, the fine flour, the clumping went away, and the rice flowed like it should. Okay, that's the end of the dream. Now I'm going to try to explain it. Where we saw, let's see, I was going to show you. some other things, but where we saw the Exodus, let me get back to that. Where we saw the Exodus, that is, and I didn't fully understand the first part until she got completely through and I realized what the third part was about. But where we see the Exodus, that is the people who will come out of the tribulation. And the donkeys and horses are their beast of burden. They're carrying a lot of burdens with them. And the furniture represents that, in that they're trying to hang on to the things that they think are comfortable and familiar to them. The nightstand itself represents, of course, you find a nightstand by the bed, and the drawer was empty. So it represents their empty dreams and how they're trying to hang on to the cheap, empty things of this world. Then when we get to the next part of the dream where it changes, let me get back there. And we see this man that she describes as Pastor JC. Well, the obvious is JC is initials for Jesus Christ. But one thing that we have to look at, and it means a great deal here, is that his channel name is Time of Refreshing. This is the time where the bride goes into her chamber. This is the chamber. This represents the chamber. Okay? And this represents Jesus, the bridegroom. The bride is in the chamber. The bridegroom is there. The reason he's been eating yogurt is because we know that yogurt contains probiotics, which is considered to be living. And it's all about things that are living and giving life. That's what that represents. And then we go on. We see how she is happy to serve him. Of course, that speaks for itself. But then she gets tired. Okay? She gets tired and she wants to lie down in the time of refreshing. Okay? That's important to understand. This is the time when the bride will have her time in the chamber before she comes back to help bring in the wheat harvest. But she said that she knew that he would be good to her and he would treat her like a princess. Well, the thing about the princess is something that me and Lou have been looking up. Now, me and Lou have, God's been showing us a lot of things that we're trying to get, how would you say, everything pieced together, and then I'll present it in videos. But Lou and I, we discussed the dream. I wanted to make sure I wasn't overlooking something that was important, and we pretty much agreed on everything on it. So that's two witnesses. We agree that the dream means the same thing. But the thing here I want to point out is about the princess. It's something that Lou and I have been discussing, which has to do with the new creation that the bride will be, that we are about to become. And it has to do with the birthing of what's to come. Okay? You know, the Bible teaches us, you know, that there is birth pangs and travail. And this is just one thing that is about to happen. Of course, Satan always counters it with something else. But how I want to explain this, if you will bear with me. I know this seems a little odd, but I'm going to explain it if I can find. Bear with me here a moment. Here we go. You know, when the baby's head is first coming out. Now, we're talking about a birthing process here and the birth pangs and what is about to be birthed, because that is where we are right now, okay? And when the baby's head crowns, see, that's what was meant in this about the princess. The baby's head crowns. This is the bride being birthed, the new creation. The head is the barley. You know, we talked in the videos about the different harvest. The head is the barley. The wheat is the body. Once the head makes its way out, once it crowns and the whole head has come out, the body follows. So that is what we're seeing right now, is the crowning in this birth process. We're seeing that the bride, the barley, is about to be crowned. And once she is crowned, and the barley is the head of the body of Christ today. And the wheat is the body. We talked about how the barley and the wheat represented two different groups within the church. And of course, everyone knows I'm not talking about a church building. I'm talking about the church of the Lord, okay? But this represents the barley. This represents the wheat. And the barley is about to be crowned. And once the whole group of the barley, the head, which is the head of the church, so to speak, because they are ready first. Once it has made its way out, then the body will follow. I hope I've explained that where everybody can understand clearly what I'm trying to say here. But then we go on, and she's talking about the salt. The reason it's represented, okay, she talked about getting the rice out of the salt shaker. The reason salt is mentioned is because we are the salt of the earth. The rice represents, because she said it was clumping together, the arguing, it represents what's going wrong within the group, within the barley. And the wheat too, I would suppose. But I'd say mostly the barley, because the rice actually represents a wedding. Well, that includes the wheat, because they will be there even though they'll be guests. But the rice represents a wedding, and how that things are clumping together and creating a problem. But then when you mix the fine flour, which are those that are mature spiritually, the ones that are crowning, which are refined and mature enough to come first, okay? They come first, the first fruits. The flour represents the first fruits, and she said that it was poured into a bowl and mixed with the rice. And that after this was done, that everything flowed like it was supposed to. And the important thing to learn here is, and this is something I'm not put out yet, that the Lord showed me, but I'm just going to give you a mention of it here. It will come later when I start back on the Passover videos, which I'm getting close to doing. I've got to tie everything where I'm at back into Passover. But it's about us. The reason it's important that we're flowing properly is because we are the latter rain. The bride is the latter rain. So that's why the first fruits has to get the clumping out. And how I get there is the timeline. Everyone, I don't have it handy, but the timeline that I had, where God had shown me, I won't get into all that, but when I laid Noah's timeline on that, Lord had me do that a little while back, the Lord showed me how that the 40 days that the harvest is taking place, The barley that has been transformed has become the latter rain. We have become, just like God showed me with the wafer, we have become the manna from heaven that will feed the multitudes. And it is very important that we understand that. And I was going to wait till later to bring this out, but this dream just gave the perfect opportunity to go ahead and get that said. But if you lay Noah's timeline over this, you see that the rains came at the 40 days, just as the bride comes at the 40 days and goes out to bring in the harvest. Well, to have the harvest, the latter rain must come and bring the wheat to maturity. And that's how the Lord showed me that we are the latter rain. We are the manna from heaven. We become the wafer that feeds the multitudes. All right. I hope y'all like this. Any questions, let me know. I love you, Barb. I love all of you. Bye-bye. What?